Hi everyone and welcome to Turtle by YouTube. I'm Gary and today I'm going to be doing another action figure unboxing and review. So without further ado, let's dive in and take a look at today's figures. And here we go, the brand new Mattel Masters of the Universe Origins Skeletor and Screeech 2-pack, and straight away the first thing that stands out is this beautiful artwork of Skeletor and Screeech with Snake Mountain looming ominously in the distance. And this art is a homage slash modern recreation by Origins artist Axel Jimenez of the box art created by artist Rudy Obrero for the vintage Skeletor and Screeech 2-pack gift set. But as you can see from the vintage packaging art, updated to now include an image of Snake Mountain, which is due to release in Origins later this year. Then moving down the package, we have our window box showing Screech and Skeletor, and we can also see the modern posing retro play callout that comes in all of the Origins packaging, as well as this brand new collector's edition inspired by vintage artwork callout, which is here because the Skeletor figure in the vintage 2-pack gift set was a re-release of the first vintage Skeletor figure release without any changes, whereas the Skeletor in this 2-pack, even though it is a reuse of the mold for the first Origin Skeletor figure, it has been repainted to match the colour scheme that Rudy Obrero gave Skeletor on the vintage gift set artwork. And now, if we turn the box around to the right hand side of the packaging, we can see that the box art continues with this skeleton and skull lying on the ground, while on the left hand side of the packaging we see this little winged creature that's very similar to the little red winged creatures that we've seen on other Origins artwork, and that came as little figures with the 2021 Origins Battlefield Warriors 2-pack, which featured battle damaged Battle Armor He-Man and battle damaged Battle Cat Origins figures. And then looking at the bottom of the packaging, we have the Masters logo along with Skeletor and Screech, followed by the copyright and legal information, as well as the barcode for the set, which leads us to the back of the packaging, where we have this epic artwork of Skeletor commanding Screech as he soars through the air above the volcanic lands of the Dark Hemisphere, while the heroic Zoar can be seen swooping in from Screech's right to challenge him. And then below this we have some toy art showing Screech's flapping wings action feature, along with his battle backpack accessory, followed then by the cross-sell for the upcoming Origins releases, which include Point Dread and the Talon Fighter, the 200X He-Man and the Masters of the Universe cartoon-inspired King Randor, Slamurai, this Skeletor and Screech 2-pack, Snake Tila, and finally the Snake Trooper. So, now that we've looked at the packaging, let's get the figures out of the box. Okay, so first let's have a look at Skeletor out of the box, and as I said before, this is mostly just a repaint of Origins Wave 1 Skeletor. So the figure sculpt here is the exact same as that first release, but as you can see in the side-by-side comparison between the two, what differentiates this latest Skeletor from the first Origin Skeletor is that this one comes with two gripping hands, whereas the first Skeletor release, just like its vintage counterpart, only came with a gripping right hand and an open left hand. But the second difference between the two figures is one the fans have been hoping for some time now, and that's an articulated jaw. Now, normally I'd cover this one looking at the figure's articulation, but I'm showing it now because this new articulated jaw comes as part of a brand new head sculpt, not yet seen in Origins. as this new head sculpt is much more detailed than the head sculpt of the first Origins Skeletor release, and indeed the subsequent Skeletor releases in Origins, which, looking at the first Skeletor, we can see that the head has a light green and yellow colour scheme with large red eyes that are rimmed in black, along with a small nose cavity that is also painted black, as well as an open green mouth with small black lines painted to represent teeth, whereas this new Skeletor head instead features a dark green and yellow, almost gold colour scheme that has small circular red eyes within black eye sockets, in addition to a larger nose cavity that's still painted black, along with the new mouth that is not only hinged, but also features sculpted teeth on both his upper and lower jaws. With the third difference then between these different releases being found in their respective power swords, as with the first Origins Skeletor release, like the vintage Skeletor figure from 1982, it came with a half power sword with a hilt guard that was a dark purple, whereas this new Skeletor comes with a power sword that, just like the more recent releases of He-Man in Origins, is a solid power sword without the hilt guard that is a light purple in colour. Which, speaking of this new figure's paint deco, this brings me to the final difference between the two figures, their respective paint decos. As looking again at both figures together, we can see that the skin tone on this new Skeletor is much lighter than the skin tone of the first figure, with the paint decos for their armour and weapons differentiating in this way as well, as we can see on the first figure that his hood, armour, boots, Havoc Staff and Power Sword are all a dark purple, whereas the new Skeletor, which has the paint deco inspired by the vintage artwork, has a hood, armour, boots, Havoc Staff and Power Sword that are all a lighter purple, with the hood, chest armour, belt and Havoc Staff also having shades of a dark orange, almost brown colour on them to add further definition. So, now that we've checked out the figure sculpt and paint deco, let's take a look at the articulation, beginning with the head, which has a ball joint in the neck that connects to the corresponding socket in the head, giving it a full range of motion so that it can be tilted forwards, backwards and side to side. In addition to having a swivel that allows the head to be turned around, along with the new jaw hinge that allows the jaw to be hinged open or closed, allowing for different expressions. Then, moving over to the figure's arms, these are each on a ball joint with a hinge at each of the shoulders, which allows for each arm to be hinged upwards and downwards, as well as swiveled around, allowing them to be held aloft, pointed downwards, or held out in front of the figure. Next, we have the elbows, and each elbow has a hinge that allows it to be hinged upwards and downwards, as well as swiveled around, followed then by the wrists, and these are on a peg joint with a hinge that allows them to be hinged in and out. In addition to being able to swivel them round as well. And next we have the waist, and this is on a peg and socket joint that allows the figure to be swiveled around at the waist. And then moving down from the waist, we have the legs, and each leg is on a ball joint hinge. This allows it to be hinged outwards and inwards, as well as forwards and backwards, followed then by the knees, and these are each on a hinge swivel that allows them to be hinged backwards and forwards, as well as swiveled around. With the boots next, and these are each connected on a peg and socket joint that allows them to be swiveled around. And finally we have the ankles, with each ankle having a hinge and swivel / rocker joint that allows it to be hinged downwards and upwards, as well as swiveled around. And so with that, let's now take a look at Screech out of the packaging. Okay, so now taking a look at Screech out of the box here, straight away he may look familiar to anyone who already has the Origins Zoar figure, or indeed has seen that Origins Zoar figure or the vintage Zoar figure. And this is because Screech, both this Origins figure and the vintage figure, are reprints of Zoar, with this release of Screech reprinting this release of Zoar from last year's Origins Tila and Zoar 2-pack. This also extends to the figure's accessories, as they too are reprints of the accessories from last year's Zoar release, but there is a very good reason for this, as both the vintage Zoar and Screech figures were in fact repaints of the Eagle of Danger Peak action figure from Mattel's earlier Big Jim line of 12-inch action figures. And if the Big Jim toy line sounds familiar, it may be because it's the same toy line that gave us the Tiger action figure that was then used to create the vintage Battle Cat and Panther figures, as well as providing the whip accessory for the vintage Beastman figure. Now, going back to Screech, the first thing that really stands out for me is the beautiful colours used on this figure, as he has alternating shades of purple along with shades of orange and red, with the purples and red in particular marking his status as one of Skeletor's evil warriors. And you can see these alternating shades of purple spanning first across the wings, back, tail feathers and head, before turning then to the underside of the wings and tail feathers, which we can see are painted in the same purple as most of the back and wings of the figure. Then if we look at the belly, legs and talons, we can see these are all painted in another darker shade of purple that only seems to be used for these parts of the figure, while the orange is then used only at the very edge of his tail feathers and on his beak, giving a splash of colour to each that really breaks up the alternating purples that populate most of the figure. Also, interestingly, the orange used in Screech appears to be a darker shade of the orange that's used in Skeletor and his weapons, while the final colour used is the red, which we see on Screech's eyes, that also highlight that he's one of the villains rather than one of the heroes, with a darker, more matte shade of this red used then for his perch and battle backpack. And so now the last thing to check out is Screech's articulation, which, as with the vintage figure and the Origins Zoar figure, is limited to his wing flapping action feature, which can be activated by pressing in this trigger on the back of the right leg. You can also press it repeatedly to keep the wings moving, which honestly is just such a fun toyetic feature that really takes me back to childhood, as it just gives me such a really nostalgic joy of this being a toy that you can play with and have fun with, which honestly applies just as much to Skeletor as well, as both figures are wonderful, brilliant toys that will also look amazing on display as collector's pieces as well, which really is the genius of the Origins line, as they've been designed as both displayable collector's pieces and toys that can be picked up and played with by kids and adults alike. So I hope you've enjoyed this latest unboxing and review, and until the next time, all the best everybody.